Welcome, and thank you for joining us for your international student tutorial on preparing for travel and arrival, where International Student Services will explain everything you need to know to prepare for your studies in the United States. To start things off, I'd like to give a brief overview of what we're going to talk about today. We'll start by going over how to prepare for your travel to the US. Then we'll discuss some items you should and shouldn't pack. We will also talk about your I-94 arrival document. And lastly, we will discuss what steps you must take after arriving in the US. So let's jump right in. As a reminder, we want to take a moment and talk about when exactly you may enter the US. Both F1 and J1 students are allowed to enter the US up to 30 days prior to their program start date. Now, if you are a transfer student, meaning that you are transferring your CVIS record to our office from another institution in the US, you may enter the US at any time, provided that you have received a new Form I-20 or DS-2019 from our office before you travel. If you are transferring to our school but do not plan to travel at all, then you do not need to worry about entering the US. Once you arrive in the United States, you will need to present yourself to a Customs and Border Protection or CBP officer. CBP is the agency responsible for protecting our country's borders, and the CBP officer is responsible for determining your admissibility to the United States. That being said, it is important to have all your required documentation to ensure that your meeting with the CBP officer goes quickly and hassle-free. We will go over the full list in a little while. Before you can be let into the country, you will be asked a series of questions, such as, what is the purpose of your visit, and how long will you be staying? You may also be asked where you will be staying, so be prepared to answer those questions. Don't forget that your primary purpose is to study in the United States, and if you provide any reason other than that, you may be subject to further questioning. Once the CBP officer has determined that you are permitted to enter the United States, the officer will stamp your passport with an I-94 passport stamp. We will take a closer look at your I-94 in the second half of this video. You should also know the location of where you will be staying upon entry to the country. Now, the address that you provide does not need to be a permanent location of where you will stay for the duration of your studies. This can be a hotel, a friend's or relative's home, or an Airbnb. Alternatively, if you do know exactly where you will be staying, just be prepared to provide that kind of information. You may also need to have a contact in the United States. If you do not have relatives or friends living in the country, feel free to provide our PDSO's contact information listed here. Lastly, if you experience an emergency while traveling to the US, you can reach our office at 510-409-6156. Just remember that this number is for emergencies only. Let's dive into the documents you'll need to have handy while you're traveling. First and foremost, please make sure that you have a valid passport before departing your home country. Your passport should be valid for at least 6 months after your program completion date. Second in importance to your passport is your F1 or J1 visa, which should be valid on your date of entry to the country. Now, you might be thinking that with a passport and student visa, you're ready to enter the US. However, this is not at all the case. The third document you need to have with you is your Form I-20 if studying on an F1 visa or DS-2019 if studying on a J1 visa. Remember from our previous tutorial that this form certifies that you have been admitted to a school in the US. While this may seem like a small detail, it is actually incredibly important to have the printed Form I-20 or DS-2019 with your signature at the bottom of page 1. Try to think of your visa as a car and your certificate of eligibility as the key. If you don't have the key, you're going to be going nowhere fast. That being said, You may also want to have handy your I-901 SEVIS fee receipt and your proof of financial support. These financial documents do not need to be anything more than the documents that you provided when you submitted your application. Remember to keep all of the aforementioned documents with you at all times during your travel. Keep them in your backpack or carry-on luggage for easy access. Keep in mind that you may or may not be asked for these documents when entering the U.S., so present them only when requested. Let's take a closer look at the Certificate of Eligibility. By now, you all should have received your Certificate of Eligibility, which can either be a Form I-20 or a Form DS-2019. For students joining us on an F1 visa, let's begin with the I-20. This form is the document that certifies your eligibility to study in the United States and contains all of the relevant information regarding your program of study, including information about the school to which you have been accepted, the length of your program, and your ability to pay for the program. On it, you can locate your SEVIS ID number at the top, starting with the digits N00, and your earliest date of entry to the U.S. in the middle on the right. Your Form I-20 should be presented in its original form with the signature of your DSO. Underneath the section labeled Student Attestation should be your signature and the date on which you signed the I-20. Please do not forget to make sure that you keep with you all 3 pages of the I-20. Now, for those of you who are joining us on a J1 visa, let's take a look at your Form DS-2019 Certificate of Eligibility. This form will contain all of the relevant information regarding your program, just like the Form I-20. However, you can find your SEVIS ID in the top right corner. Your DS-2019 will also have your ARO, or Alternative Responsible Officer's signature, towards the middle of the form. Your DS-2019 should be presented in its original form with the signature of your ARO present. Please remember to provide your signature under the section labeled Exchange Visitor Certification at the bottom of page 1. This document will be crucial to entering the U.S., so please keep the document with you at all times during your travels.
We now want to talk about what to pack and what not to pack for your travels. First, pay attention to size and weight restrictions on luggage and which items you are allowed to pack. That being said, we recommend packing some sweaters or a jacket, even if you will be joining us in the summer. Remember that the weather in the Bay Area is very different from Southern California. While there is very little rain and it can occasionally get hot, summers are a lot cooler on average than in Los Angeles or San Diego, and summer nights in the Bay Area are cooler than in most other parts of the US. When it comes to packing, please remember that most things are easy to come by in the US. Perhaps your most important gadget necessary when traveling would be your plug-in adapter. Aside from that, there are plenty of stores in Berkeley to get every necessity you may need once you arrive. In addition to luggage restrictions, make sure you do not carry with you any restricted items while traveling. If you require medication, we suggest that you bring enough of your prescriptions to cover at least 30 days, and it is important to keep them in their original containers. Visit help.cbp.gov for more information on what is allowed in the US. Lastly, be careful with the amount of electronic devices you bring with you. We recommend this so that you minimize the risk of theft, and it will make your meeting with CBP easier. In some cases, CBP may ask to search through your luggage and ask to see your electronics. CBP may go through your phone to look through your social media accounts and may even review their content. In very rare cases, CBP may keep possession of your device for further inspection. If this does happen, please be sure to get a receipt so that you can retrieve your phone. With these more thorough searches, we recommend that you check your social media accounts and remove any questionable content. It is better to travel with as few devices as possible so as to avoid having your items called out. Also, be sure that you have any important data stored to a secure cloud account so that you can access those documents in case your devices are confiscated or stolen. Inevitably, there may be some students who encounter delays during their entry to the US. If for any reason you are instructed to go through secondary inspection, please do not panic. Simply remain calm and cooperate with the CBP officers. It's difficult to tell how long you may wait, but in this case, just be patient. In the event that you forget a document, you may be issued a Form I-515A, which gives you temporary entry into the US for 30 days. However, this is by no means an excuse for forgetting your documentation. Ultimately, it is up to the CBP officer's discretion to issue you this form, and if you do receive one, you must contact us immediately so that we can assist you in mailing your missing documents. Additionally, missing a document is a surefire way to end up in secondary inspection. So please remember all of your documents. Now, let's take a closer look at your I-94. Once your inspection is completed, you will receive a stamp in your passport. This stamp clears you for entry into the US. Please be aware that your stamp should clearly indicate the terms F1 or J1 and D/S. These terms denote that you have been admitted under an F1 or J1 visa status and may reside in the US for the duration of your status as indicated by your certificate of eligibility. If for some reason your I-94 stamp is incorrect, please contact International Student Services immediately so we can advise you on how to fix this issue. In conjunction with your stamp, an I-94 arrival record will be generated that you can use to have a formal document demonstrating your lawful entry into the US. You will need to upload this I-94 arrival record to your ISS portal after you arrive. Now that you have cleared customs and you've gotten situated in your hotel or apartment, there are a few more things we need from you before you can truly settle in. As stated in your F1 and J1 student regulations, you are required to report your arrival to your DSO or ARO. To make this quick and easy, you should take a few minutes to first make sure that your US local address is recorded in CalCentral, and second, navigate to your new student task list on your CalCentral dashboard, where you will find a task for your arrival confirmation. This will link to your ISS portal, where you must complete this task within 10 days of your arrival. To do so, you will need to upload a copy of your F1 or J1 visa, as well as the I-94 arrival record you downloaded from i94.cbp.dhs.gov. We will then activate your student visa status. Please complete the form as soon as possible once you have arrived in the United States.
As we approach the end of this module, here are 5 quick tips you should remember during your studies in the US. First, go to calcentral.berkeley.edu to update your local US address and access the arrival confirmation task. Second, always be enrolled full-time for the entire duration of your studies. Check summer.berkeley.edu to see what full-time enrollment entails for your session or sessions. Third, remember to have valid documents during your studies. You are responsible for maintaining your F1 or J1 visa status, so be sure that your I-20 or DS-2019 and passport are all valid for the duration of your program, and contact us if you believe there is an issue. Fourth, you are not allowed to work in the US under your visa status without authorization. While regulations allow for on-campus employment for up to 20 hours per week, you are not permitted to work off-campus during your program. And lastly, please be mindful of your grace period after your program. It's important to note that students on an F1 visa receive a 60-day grace period, while students on a J1 visa receive a 30-day grace period. The grace period allows for the following 3 actions: transferring to another US school, travel throughout the US, and preparing to depart the US. For students studying with us on a J1 visa, the transfer process requires careful coordination and must be completed before the end of your current program. Regardless of visa status, please consult with our office if you have questions about transferring your SEVIS record. If you follow all the rules of your visa status, we assure you you will have a wonderful experience here at UC Berkeley. Thank you for watching our international student tutorial on preparing for your travel and arrival. If you ever need to contact us or have any questions, please feel free to send us an email at visiting-intl@berkeley.edu or call us at 510-642-2564. Once you arrive in the United States, feel free to visit our office located at 1995 University Avenue, Suite 130. Our business hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 12 noon and 1 to 4 p.m. We look forward to seeing you in Berkeley.